It's a ring, but not just any ring. It once rested on the hand of a royal icon, a woman who made the entire world stop and take notice, Princess Diana, and now it lives in a completely different place tied to a story few truly understand. Years later, the ring quietly reappeared, subtle yet heavy with meaning, on the hand of a future daughter-in-law. No one asked why, but William did speak. He didn't choose the ring just for its beauty, but because it was the only way to keep his mother, the one he lost, present for the most important moments of his life. In the world of royalty, where emotions are buried beneath carefully crafted masks, where every glance is watched and every whisper echoes behind ancient palace walls, there came a moment of raw, genuine feeling. William spoke of the ring not just as an heirloom, but as a sacred connection to his late mother. So what is really happening behind the palace's closed doors? Leave a comment with the number 1 if you resonate with this story, or 0 if you feel differently. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss what comes next as we reveal all the secrets behind this powerful story. Carole Middleton, a woman always known for her composure and her protective role around Princess Catherine, has made a decision that defied everyone's expectations. Until now, she had rarely drawn attention at palace gatherings, always remaining quietly by her family's side without significantly interfering in important matters. However, this time, Carole made a decision that not even Queen Camilla could have predicted. According to sources, Camilla was completely taken by surprise by the move. In a rare and emotional moment, the Queen shed tears, a reaction seldom seen from someone who always maintains such a calm demeanor. This was not just a surprise for the family, but an event that forced the entire monarchy to confront powerful and inevitable changes. This change has raised significant questions about how power and influence are distributed within the royal family. Previously, Carole Middleton had always maintained a humble position, not getting overly involved in the royal family's major decisions, but this time her action has forced everyone to reconsider. Camilla's strong reaction, along with a notable change in the dynamic among royal family members, indicates that this shift is not just a family matter, but also affects the royal system as a whole. Carole's decision has not only altered the distribution of power, but has also forced the monarchy to face profound changes, transforming history from a series of old events into a process of self-renewal. Queen Camilla, who was officially crowned in May 2023, is a person well versed in the politics of the court. For many years, she endured countless hardships and challenges to earn the respect of both the royal family members and the public. Camilla proved her resilient spirit by not only becoming the wife of King Charles III, but also rising to become Queen Consort, a title she worked tirelessly to achieve. However, the powerful emergence of Carole Middleton, Princess Catherine's mother, has made Camilla feel uneasy. Carole, who had always maintained a humble and quiet background role, has suddenly become a major influential figure within the royal family, which appears to have shifted the power dynamic Camilla had fought so hard to establish. Camilla's sense of authority is gradually eroding as Carole's influence begins to rise, and this has inevitably left the Queen feeling insecure. These changes could spark quiet struggles within the palace, where power must always be maintained and protected discreetly. These conflicts, though not public, will undoubtedly have a profound impact on the relationships within the royal family, especially as Carole Middleton increasingly asserts her influence, particularly over Princess Catherine and Prince William. This power shift could lead to a subterranean struggle that no one can foresee, altering a significant part of the royal structure. The power behind the throne at Buckingham Palace is no longer just a whisper among insiders. It has become an undeniable reality. Carole Middleton, a figure who was previously given little attention within the royal family, has suddenly emerged and created unexpected changes. Unlike those with prominent roles in the palace, Carole is not the star of the show, but rather someone who has always operated behind the scenes. However, despite not seeking the spotlight, she wields a powerful and profound influence, one that is not displayed through public gestures, but is spread in very subtle and skillful ways. More than just the mother of Princess Catherine, Carole Middleton is the one who has shaped the lifestyle and critical decisions in the lives of the royal family. She plays a crucial role in Catherine's parenting style, helping to shape the values that the royal family has preserved for generations. Furthermore, Carole is also the one who helps the royal family handle the immense pressures of public life, from how they face the media to maintaining their royal image. Through unpretentious methods, she has become a major influential figure for the royal family, especially as she acts as a silent mentor to the next royal generation, making Carole a powerful force that few had anticipated. The struggle between Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla has been quietly unfolding for over a decade, a subtle rivalry that no one officially acknowledges, yet it has clearly begun to influence major decisions within the royal family. Though they appear amicable on the surface, this competition is not just about power, but also about influence and position within the court. Carole, despite never seeking attention, has increasingly become a powerful figure of influence in the royal family, an influence that cannot be easily ignored. Camilla, with her extensive experience in court politics, seems to sense this shift and cannot escape the feeling that her own power is gradually being altered. This struggle reflects not only a rivalry between two individuals, but also a battle for influence and survival in a monarchy filled with complex rules. Everything seemed perfect on April 29, 2011, when the wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton took place at Westminster Abbey. The entire world watched this splendid event, a day that marked a celebrated union. Carole and Camilla, despite their different roles, both appeared in the official family portraits, exchanged pleasantries, and stood near each other, creating a harmonious image as if they both shared in the joy of this momentous day. However, behind the smiles and polite gestures, tension simmered between them like an undercurrent in the palace. Although smiles were exchanged, everyone in the palace knew that the relationship between Carole and Camilla was never as simple as it appeared. The competition for influence and position within the royal family had already begun to form and shape decisions in the court, even though no one officially spoke of it. Carole Middleton, who comes from a modest background, with a flight attendant mother and a builder father, did not have the same privileges as members of the royal family. Instead, her success is a story of hard work, perseverance, and relentless effort. Together with her husband Michael, she built a prosperous family business from scratch. Not only did they provide a comfortable life for their 3 children, but Carole and Michael also dedicated themselves to giving their children the best possible education and loving care. Carole's success does not stem from family privilege, but rather is the result of tireless effort and a commitment to overcoming every challenge. This creates a stark contrast with the royal aristocracy, where lineage and heritage are valued above all else. While the royal family operates with its long-standing traditions and strict rules regarding dignity and birthright, Carole represents a different world. She is a model of perseverance and determination, not a product of hereditary privilege. This is evident not only in her personal success, but also in the way she raised her children and in how she gradually helped Princess Catherine adapt and thrive in a royal world where everything is dictated by long-standing rules and traditions. As the relationship between Prince William and Catherine deepened and their family grew closer, subtle changes in Carole's treatment at palace gatherings also became more apparent. It is said that she began to feel like a ghost in a space where she once held a significant position. The gatherings, once filled with welcome and warmth, now became alarmingly cold and formal. Carole was overlooked in conversations, and when she tried to join discussions, she was often left on the periphery of the room as if she didn't exist in those important moments. The warmth she once received from those around her at family gatherings outside the palace seemed to have vanished completely, replaced by a growing distance she could not explain. Camilla, born into a British aristocratic family and long accustomed to the rules and etiquette of royal life, seemed to thrive in the very world where Carole felt increasingly marginalized. With her solid family background and a natural ability to maintain her role within the palace, Camilla proved to be excellent at coordinating everything related to royal protocol and lifestyle. Meanwhile, Carole, despite her significant efforts to adapt and help build a close relationship with the royals, found herself not being fully embraced. This feeling became more apparent as tensions began to mount in the final months leading up to the royal wedding of Prince William and Princess Catherine. The differences between the two women became increasingly stark against the backdrop of the royal family preparing for a major event where power and influence were clearly being delineated. Carole had hoped to contribute personal touches from the Middleton family to the royal events, especially on this momentous occasion. She wished for small but meaningful gestures that would reflect the close bond and familial affection between the royals and the Middleton family. However, Carole's suggestions were sometimes dismissed without any discussion. Key decisions regarding the wedding, from the choice of flowers for the ceremony to the guest list, seemed to be handed directly to the royal household without her input. Contrary to her expectations, Carole could only smile quietly, offering no resistance, while control over the entire event and its decisions was held by others in the palace. After the wedding, the slights Carole experienced did not disappear entirely. Instead, they became more discreet, more subtle. Although not overtly expressed, Carole could still sense a shift in how the royal family members treated her. Her approach to her daughter Catherine, now the Duchess of Cambridge, had to change. Family visits that were once a joy became gradually restricted, growing shorter and less frequent. Holidays, especially occasions like Christmas, which were once a time for family reunions, were now superseded by royal duties at Sandringham. The pull between the two families became increasingly clear, the warmth of the Middleton family on one side and the rigid protocol of the royals on the other, and it began to weigh on Catherine, who had to navigate the changes in her role, especially after the birth of Prince George on July 22, 2013. Carole, with her boundless love and concern for her grandchildren, naturally stepped up ready to provide support as a dedicated hands-on grandmother. However, while Carole wanted to be involved in the family's life, royal officials had a different perspective. Royal staff were appointed and new routines were established, causing Carole's involvement to be quietly reduced. These decisions were not explicitly announced, but they diminished her influence at family events and simultaneously made her feel sidelined. It is believed that Queen Camilla supported the establishment of certain boundaries aimed at limiting Carole Middleton's growing influence within the royal family. By the time Princess Charlotte was christened at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham in July 2015, these silent boundaries had become more defined, creating a quiet but meaningful distance. The ceremony, which was private and solemn, was held discreetly, and its quiet atmosphere further highlighted the differences in roles, status, and influence among the key figures within the royal family. After the ceremony, a prearranged plan organized by Carole Middleton, Kate's mother, was suddenly canceled without any official announcement. Interference from Camilla's camp prevented the plan from being carried out, leaving the Middleton family confused, disappointed, and hurt. This was seen as a notable turning point, a personal rejection disguised under the veneer of royal protocol. Everything unfolded behind palace gates far from the media's lenses, yet it partially revealed the underlying conflicts and tensions among the members of Britain's most powerful family. A silent struggle for power appears to be quietly unfolding among the influential women of the British royal family, a battle with no declaration of war, no smoke or fire, yet it is sharp and persistent. As Carole Middleton, once seen as a steadfast pillar of support and a significant influence on Prince William and his wife, quietly withdraws from the public spotlight. The question arises, is this an act of surrender to invisible pressures? Or is it in fact a subtle strategy, a step back to prepare for a smoother, more intelligent transfer of power? In the solemn atmosphere of a full royal gathering where everyone appears in elegant coats, sophisticated hats, and standard smiles, few notice that behind the scenes, an undercurrent is quietly churning. While all attention was focused on the newest member of the Cambridge family, an infant enveloped in the arms of royalty, a discreet but distinct change was taking place. Carole Middleton was no longer the busy mother on the front lines. Instead, she had begun a quiet journey, almost like an intentional retreat. She gradually withdrew from public events, appearing less frequently on important holidays, yet her formerly diminished presence seemed to spread a subtle message within the royal family. Her silence was not a meaningless void, but perhaps part of a long-term strategy making space for the next generation, or proving that true power sometimes lies in a timely retreat, while silent changes can have a more powerful impact than any declaration. At first glance, many might assume that Carole Middleton's retreat is an act for the sake of overall harmony within the royal family, a humble gesture that is supportive, proper, and full of sacrificial spirit. However, for those who have closely followed her movements, it appears to be a quiet but strategic act of self-preservation. After years of striving to integrate herself as the composed, unassuming, yet ever-present mother of the future king's wife, Carole seems to have reached a threshold. She understands that in a world where power is demonstrated not just through words, but also through protocol and positioning at royal events, one's very presence can become a form of silent competition. Those close to the family quickly noticed a slow but unmistakable pattern of change. Carole no longer appeared as frequently at major occasions as she once did. Her once familiar position beside her daughter gradually became vacant, replaced by other influential figures within the royal inner circle. Invitations that were once almost a given have now become sparse and more noticeably selective. The shift was not loud or publicly explained, but it was clear enough for those familiar with her position and role to perceive a withdrawal not out of weakness, but perhaps as a shrewd move to preserve her identity, dignity, and standing in a space where every step is carefully calculated. Carole, once a flight attendant and the daughter of a builder and a shop assistant, never belonged to the aristocracy. She and her husband Michael built their company Party Pieces from scratch and worked hard to provide a good life for their children. But despite her success and devotion, she has never been fully accepted into the royal family since the moment Catherine married Prince William on April 29, 2011. Carole found herself navigating a space where her warmth and practical values were often met with opposition. For years, she balanced two very different worlds, one filled with family dinners and countryside walks, and another governed by hierarchy, ancient customs, and rigid protocol. as Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, took on more and more roles within royal duties, from formal events to charitable and diplomatic activities. The time and space available to her original family, especially her mother, Carole Middleton, gradually began to shrink. Carole's once warm and frequent presence in the lives of her grandchildren and daughter started to fade. While Catherine moved deeper into the heart of the monarchy's power, the natural influence of the mother, long seen as a spiritual anchor and reliable support, began to weaken not because of any change in affection, but due to the subtle constraints of an age-old institution with its own rigid order. The strict and sophisticated rules of the palace operate in their own way, and they do not always align with the traditional role of a grandmother in a modern family. The royal nursery, once a familiar place where a grandmother's caring hand might have been welcomed, is now under the close supervision of professional nannies appointed by the palace. Every schedule, from mealtimes and naps to playtime activities for the young princes and princess, is tightly controlled and coordinated by those holding royal responsibilities. Within this context, Carole's sincere help and affection, though once invaluable during the early years of the young Cambridge family, has gradually been sidelined or gently redirected to avoid conflict with established protocols. It is a quiet but painful process, where the role of a mother and grandmother must yield to the structure of an institution where personal feelings always come second to traditional principles. Even seemingly simple visits between mother and daughter or between grandmother and grandchildren have gradually become silent yet complex negotiations. Family reunions, once intimate and easily arranged, are now frequently rescheduled, shortened, or canceled at the last minute due to changes in the royal schedule. According to royal insiders, this is not merely an issue of class differences between a successful middle-class family and an ancient monarchy. It is a struggle over power, influence, and position within a system where every relationship is viewed through the lens of internal politics, protocol, and tradition. Queen Camilla, once the focal point of controversy for decades, is now central to maintaining and protecting the royal order. After years of facing public scrutiny and judgment, she has skillfully rebuilt her image while solidifying her position beside King Charles III. It is known that Camilla is a strong advocate for preserving traditional values and serves as an unofficial advisor to the king, encouraging him and close associates to uphold the palace's strict rules. As her position in the court has strengthened, her influence has expanded not only in form, but also in shaping the internal workings, including who can access and play a role in the lives of key members, especially the next generation. Camilla's attitude toward Carole grew increasingly cold. Some say she viewed Carole's influence over Catherine, and through her over William, as a subtle but growing challenge. The two women, both mothers fiercely protective of their children, found the distance between them widening over time. Carole Middleton began to make decisions that would gradually redefine her role within her daughter's royal world. Therefore, Carole Middleton is now quietly challenging Queen Camilla's authority from behind the scenes. After the fading smile and Carole Middleton's discreet yet meaningful silence, an important milestone occurred in the modern history of the British royal family, the celebration of Prince Charles's 70th birthday on November 14, 2018. This event was expected to be an evening of unity and tribute, held at Buckingham Palace with full ceremonial grandeur. It was a rare occasion that gathered many senior royal members, noble friends, and close relatives within the Windsor family. A lavish night filled with heartfelt speeches, carefully arranged photographs, and polite smiles spread out like a flawless performance. Amid this formal setting, Carole Middleton appeared as usual, graceful, discreet, and composed, a mother who sought no spotlight, always maintaining a proper distance from the halo surrounding her daughter Catherine, who had by then become an indispensable pillar of the monarchy. However, behind the dazzling lights and the carefully orchestrated elegance of that evening, a small moment took place, seemingly fleeting but carrying a silent weight enough to change the dynamic between two highly influential women in the royal circle, Queen Camilla and Carole Middleton. Amidst the ritual's gazes and meticulously calculated social interactions, an imperceptible power shift began to take shape. While Camilla, with her rising status, increasingly affirmed her central role in the court, and alongside the future king, Carole gradually retreated to the background, no longer the quiet companion, but beginning to be pushed to the fringes of the power circle. It was not a clear confrontation, but a subtle discord between two worlds, one linked to the institution and tradition, the other entering from outside the framework and trying to adapt. From that moment on, the balance of power between them started to tilt in one direction. In the magnificent setting of Buckingham Palace, where refined conversations always accompanied sparkling champagne and chandeliers reflected off gilded walls, Carole Middleton, as usual, maintained a polite, discreet, and gracious demeanor while mingling with guests. But behind that calm exterior was a very different atmosphere, tense and laden with meaning. According to some attendees at the celebration, as Carole walked past a group of distinguished guests, she happened to overhear a conversation between Queen Camilla and some of her longtime noble friends. Their topic revolved around the changing face of the British social elite, a subject that might seem lightly reflective but carried deep undertones, especially against the backdrop of new money families gradually gaining ground in the royal circle. With a familiar tone tinged with a hint of condescension, Camilla was said to have expressed cleverly yet sharply her views on the rise of new money, while emphasizing the irreplaceable importance of heritage, bloodline, and family foundations values that the old aristocracy have always regarded as the ultimate symbols. No specific names were mentioned, but within that loaded atmosphere, those within earshot, especially Carole, clearly felt the weight of the message. Though wrapped in polite language, Camilla's words were a covert cut, a message that needed no explicit naming, yet was sharp and unmistakable. For Carole, who came from a middle-class background and built her family's success through hard work rather than inheritance, it was not just an indirect criticism, but a reminder that even though her daughter married a prince, heritage in the true aristocratic sense remains something no financial success can buy. For nearly a decade, Carole Middleton has persistently navigated a world she never truly belonged to, not for lack of effort, but because the invisible wall between two classes remained ever-present, solid, and cold. From the moment Catherine married Prince William in 2011, Carole's life entered an entirely different chapter. She was no longer just a successful middle-class mother, but became the mother-in-law of the woman destined to become a future queen. Throughout that time, Carole tread carefully, striving to bridge the gap between two vastly different worlds, one based on independence, hard work, and success accumulated day by day, and another that exists on inheritance, bloodline, and rituals maintained for centuries. She showed up at the right moments, kept herself in check, never too prominent, but always ready to support as a loyal and steady shadow beside her daughter. What do you think about Carole Middleton's journey? An ordinary woman stepping into an extraordinary world where she was never truly welcomed? Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss the untold stories behind the royal family. However, despite all those efforts, Carole was quietly pushed to the sidelines by the royal family, not through open rejection, but through silence, distance, and unspoken boundaries. She raised Catherine with compassion, grace, and resilience qualities that later helped her daughter stand firm under the heavy pressures of royal life. Yet Carole herself was never truly recognized as a genuine part of the institution. The upper class may have tolerated her presence, a woman from the middle class who once ran a party-planning business, but full acceptance never came. Like an invited guest, never warmly welcomed, Carole existed in royal spaces with manners maintained out of protocol, not out of sincere belonging. Prince Charles's 70th birthday evening was not just an awkward moment for Carole Middleton. It became a quiet but profound turning point, an event that redefined her position within the ceremony-laden universe of the royal family. While applause echoed, heartfelt speeches were delivered, and cameras captured historic moments to Carole, it all seemed like a cold reminder that no matter her devotion to the family, no matter the silent sacrifices she had made over the years, she would always be seen as standing outside the door of power, an unnamed supporting character in a pre-written play. The royal circle could smile, shake hands, and display outward courtesy, but the invisible boundary between them and outsiders always existed, and that night it was emphasized more clearly than ever. Behind her calm exterior and seemingly gentle retreat, Carole Middleton quietly observed everything with remarkable awareness. Though no longer actively intervening or striving to maintain her place at royal events, as before, she maintained the habit of paying close attention to every small detail and the subtlest changes. According to sources close to the Middleton family, it was during this phase of strategic withdrawal that Carole developed a quiet but deliberate routine she documented and kept records of what happened around her, not to gossip, but to understand clearly how the game was being played. Last-minute cancellations of visits by the grandchildren, sudden unexplained changes in family plans, events she was once invited to but was now excluded from without a word, all were carefully noted by Carole as pieces of a larger puzzle. There was no public blame or outburst, but over time, Carole's notes began to reveal a clear pattern. A silent story about how influence within the palace was exercised, not through commands, but through subtle adjustments, timely silences, neglect disguised as schedule changes, and absences wrapped in the guise of tradition. Each individual incident might seem insignificant, but when connected, they revealed a sophisticated system gradually shrinking Carole's space, not through confrontation, but through a soft, slow, yet persistent erasure of influence. And in that silence, Carole did the only thing she could to preserve a part of the truth she remembered. Not to retaliate, but to not forget. In March 2024, the long-standing tension between Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla suddenly became visible to everyone at Prince Louis's school concert in London. What was usually a space filled with laughter and warmth was now stifled by the clear divide between the two powerful women. Carole and Camilla stood apart on opposite sides of the room, exchanging no words, no polite nods, not even a fleeting glance. This coldness was not a spontaneous moment, but a deep manifestation of a fractured relationship that had long been brewing, expressed through years of silence, subtle refusals to acknowledge one another, and a quiet yet dramatic rivalry. In this setting, Prince William, acting as a mediator and diplomatic force within the royal family, tried to move between his two mothers, striving to break the wall of silence. He spent time conversing, easing the atmosphere, and creating light moments of interaction to narrow the gap between Carole and Camilla. Yet the mood remained undeniably heavy tension, lingering in every avoided gaze and the invisible distance firmly maintained. This was not simply a momentary discord, but the culmination of years of meaningful silences, deliberate ignores, and a covert power struggle between two influential mothers, reflecting the battle for influence within the royal palace. Camilla, who endured a long struggle to be recognized and accepted within the royal family, now carries a firmer and more intense determination than ever to protect the royal lineage in the way she has always believed in and preserved. She understands deeply the value of tradition power and her position, and is willing to do whatever it takes to maintain the order she has worked hard to build. Camilla represents not just an individual, but a symbol of continuity within the long-standing royal system where power is passed down through generations, and every action carries the profound meaning of history and tradition. Queen Elizabeth didn't just see Catherine as William's wife, she saw her as a woman with rare and remarkable qualities. Catherine possessed a quiet strength, a natural grace, and a calming presence that deeply impressed the Queen. In moments of pressure or uncertainty, she remained composed, humble, and steady, never seeking attention, yet always rising to the occasion. It was these traits that led the Queen to trust her deeply and to believe she would be essential to the monarchy's future. Elizabeth viewed Catherine not only as a supportive partner to the heir, but as a central figure in the royal family's next chapter. That belief was made unmistakably clear in the will she left behind, which outlined a powerful and purposeful role for Catherine in the years ahead. Although Camilla maintained her outward composure and continued to appear gracefully at Charles's side, those closest to her could feel a shift beneath the surface. There was a quiet tension in her demeanor, like the calm before a storm, an unmistakable sense that something was building. Camilla wasn't retreating. Instead, she was quietly preparing for what might come next, determined to reinforce her role within the royal family despite growing challenges. Her every move became more deliberate, her words more measured. Behind the poised smile was a woman ready to defend her place, no matter how the royal landscape might change. On a cold morning of February 6, 2025, Carole appeared at the gates of Buckingham Palace with an image strikingly different from what people had known about her. There was no press, no crowd, no display. Just her walking forward with a small leather briefcase in hand, sharp eyes, and a demeanor that made even the security staff cautious. This was not a symbolic or ceremonial appearance, but a subtle declaration, a reminder that Carole Middleton was no longer just the woman behind the scenes. This quiet yet resolute presence marked a new chapter where silent power care and family legacy were placed above all, ready to step into the light without explanation or show. It was not a social call, but something entirely different. Inside the palace, where tradition conceals power struggles and silence masks, unease those who witnessed the meeting described it as a reckoning anthem. Carole was said to have brought a briefcase containing documents, not rumors or speculations, but records of names, dates, financial trails, property contracts, unexplained transfers, and subtle shifts in influence. These changes, accumulated over many years, have steadily pushed the Middleton family away from closeness to the royal family, creating an unmistakable pattern of exclusion. The documents Carole Middleton brought with her to Buckingham Palace were not simply personal notes or ordinary diaries. They were detailed and insightful outlines of internal struggles within the family, revealing little-known hidden corners of royal life. These pages not only recounted personal conflicts but also demonstrated how long-standing traditions had been wielded as tools of power, not only to preserve the status and authority of certain individuals, but also to restrict access and isolate other family members. It was a sophisticated system where reverence and ceremony served as a facade for strategies of control and exclusion. Close observers of the royal circle believe these documents clearly charted the gradual shift in Carole Middleton's influence. Through each page, one could see an intentional yet inevitable withdrawal as she was increasingly isolated from key royal activities and important decisions. This was not due to a lack of capability or will, but rather an underlying power structure where those holding authority used tradition and protocol as invisible walls of separation. These documents were not only evidence, but also a challenge, shining a light into the darkest corners of the court, revealing the silent but fierce battle for influence behind the palace doors. Camilla, who endured a long and challenging journey to secure her position within the royal family, has now become one of the strongest defenders and enforcers of tradition within the court. Over the years, she has not only affirmed her role, but also become highly vigilant toward any potential changes that might destabilize the balance of power. One of her greatest concerns is the increasingly close relationship between Carole Middleton and Princess Catherine, a bond not only between the two women but also between Carole and Prince William, who stands in the line of succession to the throne. Moreover, Carole's constant and devoted presence as a grandmother in the lives of George, Charlotte, and Louis has made Camilla feel threatened by her growing influence within the royal circle. Camilla's suspicion and wariness did not manifest in loud or dramatic confrontations, but gradually transformed into a series of silent, cautious, yet determined actions. She actively guided and adjusted royal protocols in subtle but effective ways to narrow Carole's sphere of influence. Without public disputes or open confrontations, these quiet decisions slowly built an invisible wall, pushing Carole further away from the center of key events and major moments in the royal family's life. It was this skillful control that made Carole's position within the palace increasingly obscure, replaced by a subtle but binding distance. What Camilla hadn't anticipated was Carole's patience. While many might have responded with anger or reproach, Carole chose silence. Instead of confrontation or complaints, she quietly observed, missing no detail. These things weren't loud, but they accumulated like a journal of memories Carole had never once opened for anyone to see. By the time Prince Louis's school concert took place in March 2024, the fracture between them had become unmistakably clear. Carole and Camilla stood on opposite sides of the room. There was no greeting, no nod, no sign of familiarity between them. Only silence remained, a heavy, lingering silence, as if the weight of their shared past was echoing softly through the air. In February 2025, a private meeting was held at Buckingham Palace with no public announcements made. However, this event marked a clear turning point in the context of power dynamics and internal relationships within the palace. Immediately after the meeting, many senior staff, including some who had retired or stepped back from official roles, were summoned back, resulting in unexpected changes in the royal management and operations team. Important events were postponed or rescheduled abruptly, creating a tense and volatile atmosphere within the palace. Although Carole Middleton maintained her characteristic silence, refraining from interviews or public statements, her quiet actions had profound and far-reaching impacts within the royal circle. According to insider sources familiar with the palace's internal affairs, even Prince William has begun consulting advisors who were once very close to Princess Diana, a move both symbolic and subtle, yet by no means gentle or impartial. This clearly signals a strategic shift in how William is handling the family's internal issues, reflecting inevitable changes in power and influence. The meeting and its aftermath marked the beginning of a new phase where traditional forces' secrets and deep relationships will continue to shape the future of the British monarchy. While Queen Camilla continues her series of public duties with full grace and dignity, the atmosphere inside Buckingham Palace is gradually shifting subtly, yet profoundly. Behind the historical portraits framed in gleaming gold and the gleaming red-carpeted halls, a complex and mysterious story is unfolding. A quiet, smoldering storm shows no signs of abating, bringing inevitable changes to the structure of power and internal relationships. At the heart of this turmoil is Carole Middleton, a calm yet powerful woman who has silently stirred the palace's inner workings with her steadfastness and determination. What is even more remarkable is that while Carole stands at the center of this movement, the one leading and directing the next steps is none other than her daughter Catherine, the Princess of Wales. With an increasingly important role within the monarchy, Catherine not only inherits a status, but also symbolizes change and harmony between generations. The combination of Carole's quiet influence and Catherine's vision, soft yet resolute strength, has created a new force within the palace, promising to reshape the unwritten rules and internal operations of the British royal family in the years to come. The wave of power began as a tense whisper behind the ancient walls of the palace, gradually spreading and growing into a force more profound and enduring than ever before. Power once built on noble titles and traditional lines of succession is undergoing a marked transformation where new values, subtle influence, and refined strength begin to prevail. At the center of this shift stands none other than Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who has gradually become the symbol of a new generation of royalty where power derives not only from rank, but from wisdom, compassion, and nuanced influence in modern society. From the very moment she officially entered royal life on April 29, 2011, marrying Prince William in a magnificent ceremony watched by millions worldwide, Catherine became the focal point of relentless attention and scrutiny. Though warmly welcomed by the public with admiration and affection, she faced cold stares and cautious receptions within the power corridors of the aristocracy. The divide between two worlds, the vast realm of public reverence and the harsh, rigid courtly protocols, posed significant challenges for Catherine, yet also motivated her to prove her own unique status and influence within the royal family. Catherine has always been known for her elegant appearance, calm demeanor, and extensive education. However, her middle-class origins, along with the real success of her parents' company party pieces, have become a focal point that many within the aristocracy cannot help but notice sometimes, even with a hint of unease. They are uncomfortably reminded of a fact many would rather forget, that a commoner, someone without royal or noble lineage, has officially stepped into this exclusive world of power through her marriage to Prince William. Catherine's upbringing and character formation were not based on vast country estates or enormous ancestral wealth, but rather built on a foundation of strict discipline and solid family values, reflecting a practical spirit and relentless effort. Despite the passage of time, public and media interest in Diana has never waned. In recent years, Prince Harry has openly shared his struggles, especially the profound impact of his mother's death. In his memoir, Spare, published on January 10, 2023, Harry recounts personal experiences, his complicated relationship with his family, and the events that led him and his wife, Meghan Markle, to step back from their royal duties and leave the United Kingdom. Spare offers an intimate insight into Harry's life, depicting feelings of isolation and not belonging within his own family, as well as the challenges he faced growing up in the royal spotlight. The book's title alludes to the concept of the heir and the spare, reflecting the sense of being undervalued and alienated that Harry once endured. Kate meticulously learned during her early years when to speak, when to smile, and perhaps most importantly, when silence carries more weight and meaning than any spoken word. Through every event and encounter, she mastered reading the subtle signals of the palace, a place where words are sometimes just the surface of deeper messages. This understanding and restraint helped her not only maintain composure, but also build the image of a woman, both gentle and strong, one who knows how to wield silent power to influence without causing conflict. It is this clarity and sharpness that enabled Kate to overcome the challenges of the royal environment, which is notoriously harsh and filled with unspoken rules that are difficult to grasp. Throughout the years of raising Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, Kate became an attentive, quiet student of the mechanics of royalty, the art of managing ceremonies, traditions, and the complex relationships within the palace. Her engagements and important events were always meticulously prepared, never ostentatious but maintaining elegance and subtlety. Kate's public image developed slowly, yet surely closely tied to the role she assumed. Every step she took was carefully considered deliberate and never rushed, reflecting a woman who steadily asserts her distinct position in a world full of rules and competition. By 2023, Kate had firmly established herself as one of the most admired and respected figures within the British monarchy. Over the years, she not only built the image of a modern duchess, graceful yet resilient, but also became a symbol of stability and responsibility. However, it was only in early 2025, following a mysterious meeting at the palace involving Carole Middleton, that keen observers began to sense a new powerful and commanding energy gradually surrounding Kate. This change was not a sudden leap, but the result of a subtle, quiet transfer of power, discreet, yet profoundly influential. As Queen Camilla began to quietly retreat from the public spotlight, appearing less frequently at major royal events, Kate steadily stepped into key roles. There were no press conferences, no official declarations or grand announcements. She simply filled the space left by Camilla, gradually securing a central position both in the hearts of the public and within the palace itself. It is this silent but resolute ascent that has solidified Kate's standing like never before, heralding the dawn of a new era in the history of the British monarchy. And those are the never-before-seen moments, the deep emotions that even the royal family couldn't avoid. Prince William, with all the love and pain in his heart, couldn't hold back tears as he watched the special footage of his mother and brother Harry. Will these memories change the relationship between the royal family members? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, so you won't miss more emotional stories from the British royal family. Thank you for watching. This move was far more than a formal ceremony or superficial change. It clearly reflected the shifting power structure within the royal family. The relocation stood as a strong assertion of Kate's increasingly consolidated status, while also demonstrating the unwavering support Prince William has for his wife. The proximity of their offices signifies a close collaborative relationship, jointly managing and reinforcing their influence within the royal family, marking a new era of soft yet effective power within the palace walls. Prince William, long a steadfast supporter of his wife, now demonstrates his trust and reliance on Kate's deep insight and sharp acumen more clearly than ever during important meetings. According to close sources, he frequently shows profound respect for her views, especially when they discuss traditional royal matters balanced with modern elements and evolving social trends. This combination not only helps strengthen the royal family's image, but also creates a new rhythm more attuned to the times and public expectations. Kate brings a nuanced perspective that harmonizes the classic values of the palace with the rising expectations of the modern public, a rare and essential balance in today's context. Beyond political and social roles, even her fashion choices contribute to this subtle transformation with a style that is both elegant and contemporary, reflecting the image of a youthful, dynamic royal icon who still upholds traditional dignity. All of this has helped solidify Kate's position as a central figure in the ongoing change and development of the British monarchy. Even Kate's presence on social media platforms has undergone a subtle but deliberate transformation, carefully orchestrated according to the royal family's communication protocols and media strategy. Instead of the highly formal and ceremonial images of the past, the official royal accounts have begun to highlight softer, more intimate, and humanizing moments. Viewers can see short videos capturing Kate's children playing warm smiles at events, or quiet, candid, behind-the-scenes photos, all painting a genuine picture of royal family life that the public can easily relate to. This is by no means accidental or a communication slip. It is the result of a deliberate and meticulous choice aimed at conveying a clear message. Kate is not only a royal icon but also an approachable, warm, and relatable woman. These carefully curated images send signals of friendliness, connectivity, and natural appeal, softening the rigid boundaries between the solemnity of the monarchy and the modern, accessible image that today's public expects. This is how Kate and her team are redefining the royal image in the digital age, creating an effective and emotionally rich communication channel. In April 2025, the question was no longer whether the Middleton family was accepted by the royal family, but rather how much power do they actually hold. In the palace world, where every move is carefully calculated, power never disappears. It only shifts quietly and deliberately. At present, the balance is tipping in Catherine's favor. But is this just a coincidence, or is Kate Middleton quietly pulling the strings from behind the palace walls in a subtle, discreet, and never exposed way? What do you think? Is Kate at the center of power, or is she simply an expert at adapting? Don't forget to leave a comment with number 1 if you sympathize with Queen Camilla, or number 0 if you have a different opinion. Share your thoughts with us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Click on the next video that appears on your screen to discover more amazing content. See you in the upcoming videos. Welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into a deeply emotional moment that left many in tears. In a heartfelt conversation, King Charles revealed a shocking truth about Prince Harry's real mother, leaving him unable to hold back his emotions. What exactly happened during this special meeting? Stay tuned to uncover the secret behind Prince Harry's tears and the story that's never been told before. Have you ever heard any rumors about the British royal family? If yes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Enjoy the video to uncover this shocking secret, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. A royal letter once sealed in sorrow and buried in silence has finally been revealed. It is the final message from King Charles to Prince Harry. An eerie phrase emerges from the letter: "I cannot tell you not because I don't love you, but because the truth will break you." This is the moment when Harry learns the truth about his biological mother. Historians are stunned, the palace is in turmoil, and Harry must finally face the truth he never wanted to know. This is not only a family secret, but also the most carefully guarded lie of the crown. The words in the letter shattered everything. It had been hidden, forgotten, and sealed away for nearly 4 decades in the royal archives. But when the letter was revealed, it not only raised countless questions, but also cracked the foundation of royal history. One single line sent shockwaves: "He will never be hers," not truly, because from the very beginning, he was never hers. These words are cold, profound, and carry a direct meaning. Historians quickly dated the letter to the mid-1980s, when Prince Harry was still a child, around 1985 or 1986. This was a period of political turmoil with growing public pressure and the gradual unraveling of Charles and Diana's marriage. The letter was sent to a longtime friend of Charles, possibly a royal cleric or a spiritual advisor. Whoever it was, it's clear that Charles trusted them enough to confide in them what he could never voice publicly. Now, as the palace refuses to comment, the mystery deepens. Why was the letter concealed? Why was it made public at this moment? And most importantly, who is Charles referring to when he makes that statement? If it's not Diana, everything could change. When the letter was revealed, all eyes were drawn to this weighty remark. But to truly understand its meaning, we must ask, who is she and what did Charles really intend to convey? The phrase, "he will never be hers," may sound simple, but in the secretive world of the royal family, nothing is ever that straightforward. The question that now haunts everyone is, who is Charles referring to, and why say this at such a moment of crisis? Some believe this refers to Diana, but historians argue otherwise. They suggest the language in the letter could hint at something far more complex. Perhaps a surrogate, a secret third party, or even a biological mother unknown to the public. This becomes even more suspicious when we consider the timing of the letter. It wasn't written in the 1990s when the relationship between Charles and Diana had exploded into public view, but rather during the quiet tension before the public ever knew about the breakdown of their marriage. Did Charles truly think this way at that time? Who was the letter written to, a trusted advisor within the Church of England, or perhaps someone closer like the successor to Lord Mountbatten? Some within the palace claim that this was not a slip of the tongue, but a deliberate and emotional decision. The words in the letter have caused historians to rewrite the royal family's timeline. This leads them to wonder whether this is an early confession of something far larger than we had ever imagined. Could this be the royal cover-up that has persisted for years? The theory that Harry may have been born via a surrogate, once dismissed and silenced for decades, has resurfaced. This idea was ridiculed in the past, but now, with the revelation of the letter, it no longer seems impossible. Perhaps this is the truth the royal family has been trying to conceal for all these years. The words in the letter have changed everything suddenly. What was once unthinkable now not only makes sense, but also seems far too fitting. In the early 1980s, Diana was hospitalized several times under vague circumstances, officially due to stress or private health issues. However, insiders now reveal there were discussions concerning her fertility concerns. Quiet conversations between doctors, aides, and royal advisors. If Charles and Diana were as estranged at that time as many suggest, and a public heir was needed, could the crown have arranged for a surrogate behind closed doors? The palace holds power and motive. All it requires is secrecy. Charles's words, not hers from the very beginning, take on a different meaning now. When considering a surrogate, Diana may have been asked to raise the child playing the role of a mother without any biological connection. This could explain the letter and her long silence. Royal experts now suggest that this theory is no longer just speculation, but may explain the emotional distance, even the lifelong sense of disconnection that Harry has always felt. If this theory holds true, if Diana is not Harry's biological mother, what would this mean about the woman we thought we knew? Was she part of the secret, or was she the one safeguarding it? Her silence may not have been a coincidence. It could very well be the entire essence of Princess Diana's silence. Diana was known for her love, compassion, and devotion to her sons. But when it comes to Harry, that love now raises an emotional question. Was she his biological mother, or was she the protector he chose to have? Diana's love for Harry was real. That part is clear. A palace staff member recalled, "She protected Harry more than anyone I've ever seen, not just with motherly love, but as if she were shielding him from something we couldn't see." Perhaps she wasn't just protecting Harry from the press, but also from the truth. If Diana knew the truth and took it to her grave, the past could be buried deeper than anyone ever imagined. But the timeline surrounding Harry's birth raises even more questions. Harry's birth in September 1984 led the public to believe that Diana and Charles were a young, smiling royal couple fulfilling their duties. But behind the scenes, cracks were forming. Now the timeline is being scrutinized closely. Many royal watchers point out suspicious gaps in the public record. Early in 1984, Diana had a sudden hospital visit that went unreported with no images, no public explanation. When asked, palace aides simply said she was unwell, but they never specified how. Then there is the question of James Hewitt, long rumored to be Harry's father. Hewitt has always denied this, claiming he only met Diana after Harry was born. That may be true, and in fact it supports a much deeper hidden story about Harry's origins, perhaps not about the father, but the mother. Currently, many royal archives from the 1980s are being reviewed, and there are quiet reports suggesting that some documents may have been replaced or altered with dates around the time of Harry's birth. A former palace aide said, "We always followed procedure unless told otherwise. It's possible that in the past the royal family requested the alteration of certain documents to conceal the truth in order to protect the reputation of the family and avoid questions about Harry's true origins." That protocol likely included covering up the truth about who carried Harry. As these documents are quietly reviewed, a rumor resurfaces. Has Harry ever had a DNA test? Did he want answers but never receive them? The next layer of this royal mystery could lie in something very small yet incredibly powerful. The rumor of a DNA test has circulated for years with whispers from palace insiders and hints in biographies. Some claim quietly that Harry had requested a test but never saw the results. Now, with the letter being revealed, these whispers are growing louder. Some say a private test was conducted in the early 2000s, quietly carried out at the royal labs. A former security staff member claims that a sealed envelope was sent to Clarence's house. No one knows what happened after that. Did Charles see the results? Did Harry ever see them? If the results were concealed, it raises a troubling possibility that someone was trying to protect not only the monarchy, but also Harry himself. Because if the truth is that Charles is the father, but Diana is not the mother, the royal narrative would change, and Harry's entire sense of identity would be altered. However, there is another possibility. Charles's letter may have never been meant to confirm anything, but merely to sow enough doubt to create an emotional distance, a quiet way of saying, "I know, and I cannot change that." One historian remarked, The letter feels like guilt turned to ink. If that is the truth, the dilemma surrounding the DNA may never be resolved, as the real damage is emotional. As whispers turn into questions and silence transforms into suspicion, one man remains at the center of the storm: King Charles. Because if this story is about Harry's identity, it is also about the secret of a father and perhaps the hidden anguish he carries, the hidden pain of King Charles. Charles has always appeared calm and controlled, but beneath the rigid upper lip and royal tradition lies a man who bears a profound personal burden. The letter now brought to light is not just a historical footnote, but perhaps the rawest glimpse into the inner turmoil of Charles we've ever seen. He will never be hers. Not truly, because from the very beginning he was never hers. Read that line not with doubt, but with sorrow. What if it isn't meant to be cruel, but is in fact a confession? If that's Charles trying to put into words what he's struggled with for years, many close to the royal family have noted that the relationship between Charles and Harry has always been strained. Public events unfolded formally but lacked warmth, and the colder tone became more apparent as Harry grew older. Some attribute this to generational differences, but insiders see something else: emotional avoidance. A former palace aide reflected, "Charles seemed to never know how to emotionally connect with Harry as if he wanted to, but didn't know whether he should." If Charles knew that Diana wasn't Harry's biological mother, that emotional wall might be his way of coping with the pain, distancing himself from something he couldn't speak of. And now, as King Charles, he's more than ever the center of attention. But what if the crown isn't the heaviest burden on his shoulders? What if it's this secret? A silent pain that has lasted for decades, but Charles isn't the only one who feels the weight of this mystery. What do you think about this secret? Is King Charles hiding a painful truth about Harry? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know if you were Charles. Would you keep this secret or reveal the truth? Don't forget to hit like and share this video. From the very beginning, Harry showed signs that he knew something was different. Even before the memoir, before the headlines, before Meghan, there was a boy searching for something. Something that no one could name until now: the lifelong sense of difference Harry has felt. He called himself the Spare. But what if that title isn't just about royal rank, but about identity? From childhood to adulthood, Harry seems to have always lived in the shadow of something undefined. Now the final pieces may be falling into place in the reserve. Harry described feelings of isolation, of being lost even in his own home, not just in the media, but at family dinners during royal tours and in private moments that should have been warm. A family friend once said, "He laughs the loudest but also seems the loneliest." Teachers recall Harry asking questions that other children didn't, not just about the world, but about himself. Where do I come from? Why do I feel so separate? At the time, it sounded like typical teenage anxiety, but now it seems more like a quiet call for truth. Then came Meghan. She didn't just love Harry, she listened to him and encouraged him to seek out the difficult questions he had always been asking. Meghan is said to have told a close friend, "Now he wants answers deeper than just his lineage." Could this lifelong sense of difference stem from a biological issue? If Harry was raised by a mother who wasn't truly his and has felt that something has been missing throughout his life, then the pain we see isn't rebellion, it's instinct. If Harry's instinct is telling him the truth, then the silence from the palace becomes deafening. While Harry and Meghan search for answers, Buckingham Palace is doing the opposite, fumbling behind closed doors, consulting legal teams, and preparing to manage the fallout. What are they truly afraid of? The silence of the royal family, their fear. The letter has been revealed, the timeline is unraveling, and Harry's questions are louder than ever. But inside Buckingham, the palace remains in absolute silence. Silence without statements, without explanations. Just quiet corridors, tense meetings, and growing panic. Behind that silence, insiders say it's fear. Why? Because this isn't just about one letter. It's about what else could be out there. A royal source confirms that a private crisis management team has been reactivated, similar to the team used during Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah. Their new task to control leaks, manage the fallout, and uncover the original documents. There are whispers now that more letters may have been sent to Diana, to William, or even to Harry himself. If just one more document surfaces, it could be a disaster, not only emotionally but legally, as questions about inheritance titles and royal succession laws could be raised. The legal team is reportedly examining the royal family's ability to conceal documents under the Official Secrets Act. British media are under pressure to avoid publishing any new information, but foreign media, independent investigators, and international tabloids are not bound by the same rules. Still, the truth is beginning to leak out. A royal aide recently said offhandedly, "They're not worried about the truth. They're worried about losing control of the truth." And that truth could be bigger, darker, and more damaging than anyone expected. Because this is no longer just about Harry, it's about the future of the monarchy itself, and that future may depend on one person standing between the past and the crown. Prince William has known the truth. He has kept it hidden all these years. But if he knows and remains silent, then it's no longer just a family secret. It's a betrayal that could tear them apart forever. The pressure of knowing this truth, Prince William, the heir and the face of the modern monarchy, has been raised from birth to lead. But after this letter, his silence is beginning to attract attention and suspicion. Because if this secret was known within the palace, William may have known for a long time. The relationship between William and Harry has always been complicated, yes, but often distant, protective, yet still guarded over the years. Harry has hinted that William always followed the script. Does that script include the secret behind Harry's birth? And if so, how long has William kept that secret? Sources close to the palace suggest that Charles may have confided in William as he reached adulthood, likely during the time Harry began to rebel against royal duties. An insider revealed that there were serious conversations between father and eldest son, and after those conversations, William changed. He became colder and more guarded. If William knew why, didn't he tell Harry loyalty to the monarchy, perhaps out of fear of the consequences? Or did he believe that protecting the crown was more important than protecting the truth about his brother? Now, with this letter being made public, William's silence could be seen as a betrayal not only to Harry, but also to their brotherly relationship. While William remains silent in London, a storm is brewing across the Atlantic in Montecito, California. Harry and Meghan are facing this truth not with silence, but with action. Behind closed doors, Meghan is said to be urging Harry to uncover the entire truth no matter the cost. Meghan, in the aftermath of Montecito, the release of the letter not only shakes the palace but also rattles the Sussex family. According to sources close to them, Meghan was deeply shaken when she read it, not just because of what it suggests about Diana, but because it confirms many of Harry's suspicions from the very beginning. Meghan has stood by Harry through royal tensions, public scrutiny, and family rejection. But this is different. This is personal. Friends of the couple say that Meghan is now encouraging Harry to go further, consulting legal experts, reaching out to historians, and even pursuing a second memoir focused entirely on identity. An insider in California reveals that they are looking into private DNA experts. Meghan wants him to clarify not just for himself, but for their children. The possibility that Archie and Lilibet's bloodline may carry a mystery is not something they take lightly. The family they are building is based on truth, not royal illusions. And in true Meghan style, she may be preparing to help Harry tell the world through a documentary, a podcast, or a new book, perhaps the next chapter in Harry's story, not about leaving the royal family, but about finally understanding where he truly comes from. As Harry digs into his past, one figure remains hauntingly silent, the late Queen Elizabeth II. The woman who reigned through wars, scandals, and abdications, did she know the truth from the beginning? And if she did, was she protecting the monarchy, or was she shielding Harry from something he still couldn't handle? What did Elizabeth know about Queen Elizabeth II, the final gatekeeper of royal secrets for over 70 years? She balanced duty with discretion, but when it comes to this letter and the secret, it suggests that her silence might be the most telling clue, revealing much more than those closest to her ever imagined. It is said that the Queen had access to all confidential records, including medical records, letters, and correspondence related to all royal births. This means she may have read the letter from Charles and possibly others. If that's true, she knew. The question is, what did she choose to do with that knowledge? Some believe she tried to handle the matter privately. A court official stated she was always 10 steps ahead. If something as significant as this came up, she would have taken steps to neutralize it quietly. Did her sudden gesture of peace drive the negotiations with Harry in her final years as goodwill? The last meeting between the Queen and Harry in 2022 is now being re-examined. At the time, it was described as warm and sincere, but could it have been a silent confession, a goodbye carrying more meaning than anyone realized? The Queen may have taken many secrets to the grave, and this could be one of them. Even if the Queen knew and said nothing, the question now haunting the monarchy is, if Diana is not Harry's mother, what does that mean for the royal bloodline? Because the crown is not just about ceremony, but also about legacy, and this secret could shake its very foundation with profound implications for the core of royal lineage. If Diana is not Harry's biological mother, the consequences go far beyond their personal pain. It strikes at the heart of what defines royal lineage inheritance: every royal title, every position in the line of succession. Everything depends on one thing: proven ancestry. Prince Harry is currently 5th in line to the British throne, with his children Archie and Lilibet closely following behind. But if it were proven or even widely believed that Harry's maternal link to Diana is false, would that affect their status? Could it strip them of their royal privileges? Legal experts say this could be a serious possibility. Constitutional scholars argue the monarchy is built on an unbroken line of descent. If that descent is altered or questioned, its legitimacy is too. It would open the door to challenges against Harry's past roles, military titles, dukedom, even his royal title. Some now believe this could be why Charles quietly began stripping titles years ago, not out of anger, but to control the fallout from this theory. There is also another perspective on why Archie and Lilibet didn't receive the HRH title when they were born. At the time, it seemed like a punishment, but what if it was a precaution, a way to avoid future legal battles? In a monarchy built on blood, every drop of blood matters. If the monarchy is willing to reshape its rules to conceal this truth, what does that say about the relationship between father and son? Because for Harry, this has never been just about status. It's been about love, trust, and a father who may have chosen silence over connection. As the world absorbs the weight of this revelation, one truth becomes undeniable. Nothing in Prince Harry's story has ever been simple, not his childhood, not his rebellion, and certainly not the question now hanging in every royal hallway: who is Harry's biological mother? The final letter, believed to have been written by King Charles at the twilight of Queen Elizabeth's reign, is very short, but insiders say it was never meant for the public. It was a private farewell from a father to the son he could never fully reach. I raised you in the shadows of my own, but not in my truth. I hope one day you can forgive me. Just that one sentence sparked a storm. Behind the palace doors, legal teams are reportedly working to locate and protect any remaining documents from that era. Meghan and Harry are reportedly weighing their next steps. The truth, they say, is now more important than tradition. But what about William's sources say he remains silent? His public face hasn't changed, but behind the scenes, this revelation could shatter any remaining relationship with his brother. If William knew and stayed silent, then it's not about loyalty or betrayal. The monarchy has survived wars, divorces, and abdications, but this is a potential redefinition of the royal bloodline. In the end, titles no longer hold meaning when trust is lost. As Harry stands on the brink of truth and legacy, one question remains. Will he stay silent to protect the crown, or will he finally speak out to reclaim his story? One thing is certain, the truth has been exposed and the crown will never be the same again. So in a truly emotional moment, Harry couldn't hold back his tears as the truth was finally revealed. Could this be a turning point in his life and his relationship with the royal family? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below and hit that like button if you found this story shocking. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more royal secrets. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Royal drama explodes. Queen Camilla reportedly lost it when Princess Charlotte was unexpectedly granted a prestigious royal title surpassing her own granddaughter. What really went down behind palace doors? Is this a game changer in the royal power struggle? Join us as we uncover all the details in today's video. Let's dive in. What do you think about this latest royal drama? Drop a hot in the comments if you find this story super juicy, or mage. If you're not that into it, don't forget to enjoy the video and hit that subscribe button to support the channel. It's been on my mind for a long time, the growing debates about climate change and environmental pollution that make me feel very strongly. I closely follow what others are doing and the announcements made with all the weight of tradition presented in formal texts bearing the royal seal. And at exactly 10:00 a.m. London time, an announcement shook the entire world. The announcement was not just a routine update about a royal ceremonial visit, but a historic event. Princess Charlotte of Wales had officially been bestowed the title of Duchess of Edinburgh. This event sent social media into a frenzy, with royal commentators rushing to analyze the significance of this title. For decades, people believed this title would go to Prince Edward, the son of Prince Philip, but instead the throne was given to a 10-year-old girl, the granddaughter of Princess Diana. While the world welcomed this move as a bold and modern change for the monarchy, not everyone at Buckingham Palace was pleased. A royal source revealed that Camilla the Queen was furious upon hearing the news. She had worked for a long time to secure her family's position within the royal lineage, but this decision once again drew a harsh line between those within the royal family and those outside of it, creating a rift with her own family. Camilla could not hide her disappointment upon learning that her grandchildren, despite standing by her side at royal festivals and appearing in processions, were not granted titles, positions, or a future within the institution. She felt humiliated that her family, despite receiving public recognition, remained nothing more than commoners. After Charlotte was bestowed a title of such historical significance, Camilla clearly felt that the royal palace had effectively frozen her family out. While Camilla felt deeply hurt, this decision sent a powerful message from the royal palace. It was not just a ceremonial gesture. but a clear signal about who holds significance in the next generation of the throne. Camilla saw this decision not merely as a title, but as a public rejection, a slap in the face to the monarchy. As Charlotte's name became a global trend, the uproar echoed through the halls of the palace. The granting of the title Duchess of Edinburgh to Charlotte was not just a symbolic gesture, but a major shift in royal tradition. It sent a powerful message from the palace about who will truly lead the monarchy in the future. Previously, it was believed that this title would be given to Prince Edward, the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. But the monarchy has evolved, and this decision marked a dramatic step beyond expectations. At just 10 years old, Charlotte now holds a title of significant historical importance, proving that the future of the monarchy is being secured by a new generation. The granting of this title bypassed Edward, who was expected to inherit it from his father. This move marks a clear shift in the royal family's perspective and paves the way for a new generation to lead the monarchy in the future. Duty and honor. This is a crucial moment in Charlotte's journey to becoming a key figure in the future of the royal family. Why Charlotte? Why now? Insider sources believe that this decision was carefully planned by King Charles III, along with Prince William and senior advisors who recognized the strategic importance of giving Charlotte a more substantial role, one beyond mere ceremonial status in a monarchy that is continuously modernizing. Charlotte represents the best of both the past and the future. She is the granddaughter of Princess Diana, one of the most beloved figures in modern royalty, and the daughter of Kate Middleton, the most admired royal woman since Diana. Charlotte embodies innocence, grace, and is the ideal image of a contemporary young princess. Charlotte has been the center of attention since her birth, displaying a calmness beyond her years and a natural charm that captures the hearts of all. More importantly, Charlotte's position in the line of succession is significant. As per the Succession to the Crown Act of 2013, she cannot be displaced by any younger brothers, a historic change. This ensures that she retains her position as fourth in line to the throne, following Prince George and ahead of Prince Louis. Granting Charlotte the title of Duchess of Edinburgh is a clear sign that the monarchy is preparing her for a much more significant role than simply being a royal figure. Some sources suggest that this decision lays the groundwork for Charlotte's potential promotion to royal princess, a traditional title reserved for the eldest daughter of the monarch. A royal advisor secretly revealed that it's no longer just about ribbons and smiles. She is being groomed to carry the legacy of the monarchy. Charlotte has attended important royal ceremonies with grace since she was young, from her precise curtsy at Queen Elizabeth's funeral, her polite presence at the Platinum Jubilee, to her quiet confidence while marching in significant events. The world has witnessed her development not only into a princess, but also as a cornerstone of the royal image in the future. Her new title strengthens her role and grants her a prominent position and dignity within the royal family. While many have welcomed this change, not all members of the royal family see it as a reason to celebrate. Some view this decision as a powerful political move, placing Diana's family at the center of the monarchy's future vision, while excluding individuals not of Windsor blood. For Queen Camilla, this is not just disappointment, but also an insult to her granddaughter Elisa, who had previously been positioned behind Charlotte in the family. Family gatherings have now become a distant memory, with Charlotte rising to prominence while Elisa remains invisible. For Camilla, the pain is evident as she realizes her family is not being treated equally with the other royal grandchildren. This has become an unbearable thorn in her side, especially as Charlotte is remarkably promoted. Camilla, a true grandmother, feels this pain acutely as her family has 5 grandchildren through her, yet they are not valued within the monarchy. The message of this change is clear. This is Charlotte's time. Her new title not only marks a historic turning point, but also signals a crown waiting for her. It is a promise of a bright future for the post-Elizabeth and post-Diana monarchy, with the House of Wales standing at the center of it all. Charlotte, with her grandmother's fire and her mother's grace, is set to become a symbol for the new generation of the royal family. Tom and Laura children, whom Camilla deeply cherishes, would otherwise be respected individuals in British high society. Among them is Eliza Lopes, the beautiful and intelligent granddaughter who made headlines in 2011 as a flower girl at the wedding of William and Kate. Dressed in an ivory satin gown and clutching the train of Catherine's dress, she was swept into the global royal orbit, a small child in a historic moment. Camilla saw this as a glimmer of hope, a sign that despite not having Windsor blood one day, her grandchildren might be valued within the royal family. However, over the years, all of this has faded. Unlike Charlotte, George, and Louis, who have been raised from a young age to take on royal roles, Alyssa and her cousins have quietly been pushed aside. No titles, no patronage, no position in the priority hierarchy, despite the fact that their grandmother has become the queen. Camilla is firm in her belief that her family is not royal, and this is deeply painful. Camilla has always believed that once she became queen, her family would be given the respect they deserved. However, the reality has shown that her family is not seen as legitimate royalty. This exclusion did not happen suddenly, but was a deliberate one, continuously masked by polite smiles and vague promises. Invitations to public events are rare, and when it comes to royal matters, Camilla's grandchildren are treated as outsiders looking in through the gates.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
Witnessing Charlotte, a girl only slightly older than Alyssa, receiving a title of historical significance has stirred up all the wounds Camilla had tried to hide. According to sources close to the Queen, this choice deeply hurt her. It wasn't because she disliked Charlotte, but because it was a public reminder that her bloodline would never be considered royal enough. She told her friends that this move was unnecessary, divisive, and deliberately cruel. Camilla was quoted at a private event saying, "It's not about jealousy, but about recognition and respect. My grandchildren have been treated like ghosts in a family obsessed with appearance and legacy." Being excluded is worse than being criticized because it shows you were never noticed in the first place. For a woman who spent decades rising from mistress to queen, the prospect of her own flesh and blood disappearing from the royal story is deeply troubling. What's even more painful is that Camilla's grandchildren are charming, sociable, and fully capable of participating in public life. However, ability is not the crucial factor in the monarchy, it's bloodline and symbolism. And the symbolism is unmistakable. Diana's grandchildren are now wearing the royal crown while Camilla watches from the sidelines. Wow, the royal drama is heating up like never before. What do you think about Diana's grandkids taking the crown while Camilla's are left on the sidelines? Drop a comment sharing your thoughts. Who do you support in this saga? Don't forget to hit that like button and share the video to spread this juicy story. There has been no press release mentioning this dissatisfaction, nor any assistant admitting to it. But within the palace, there is a clear reality. Camilla may have earned the Queen's crown, but her family will never inherit the legacy. The tension in the palace began with the announcement of Charlotte's new title. According to many within the royal family, what initially started as a calm discussion behind closed doors quickly turned into one of the most tense private moments Buckingham Palace has witnessed since the time of Diana. The scenario was simple: a private press meeting at Clarence House regarding the public reaction to the new royal title granted to Princess Charlotte. However, when Camilla saw the headlines announcing that Charlotte of Wales had been made Duchess of Edinburgh with Diana's granddaughter stepping into the spotlight as the future queen, something changed within her. She slammed the file folders shut, and an assistant later explained that Camilla was visibly shaken. Camilla's entire demeanor shifted as if watching someone take a photo followed by an outburst of intense bitterness. She accused senior advisors of undermining her bloodline and turning the monarchy into a popularity contest. Above all, she felt disrespected despite having sacrificed so much to reach her position. A witness who refused to be named stated that she stormed toward the fireplace and threw a piece of news into the flames, not just about Charlotte, but about everything over the decades. Camilla exclaimed, "They've erased my family's name from history. Is this what I get after sacrificing everything for this family?" For Charles's staff, the shock was inevitable. A longtime female employee quietly waiting to leave the room couldn't bear to see the Queen collapse so freely. What startled them most was the fury, but even more frightening was the visible pain, the rare fragility of Camilla, who had spent decades presenting herself as calm and untouchable. Yet in that moment, she was not the queen, but a grandmother, lamenting the royal fate, realizing that her grandchildren would never be able to confront Charles. The worst moment came when she turned to Charles. Several sources have confirmed that Camilla confronted the king, directly accusing him of favoring Diana's children and catering to William and Kate's wishes. Charles, exhausted after weeks of political tension, was caught off guard. Camilla shouted, "Say something, Charles. You let this happen. You let them push my family away like dust." Aides quickly intervened, soothing the situation with polite words and a gentle redirection. Camilla then asked to be excused and returned to her private quarters. However, the damage was done, and by the next morning, news of her outburst had spread throughout the court circles. Some in the court felt sympathy for Camilla, while others were quietly horrified. Senior courtiers were reportedly heard saying they had never seen Her Majesty so broken. Although no official statement was made, the silence from Camilla's camp became a powerful message to those who could read between the lines. Camilla's outburst erupted not on the front pages, not before the cameras, but within the very heart of the royal palace. This revealed a painful truth. It wasn't just about a title. It was the story of a woman who, despite wearing the crown, felt as though she had lost everything. While Camilla's fury erupted behind closed doors, Catherine, Princess of Wales, remained calm, graceful, and silently triumphant. She didn't gloat, didn't speak out, and didn't seek a title for her daughter. When Charlotte was granted the title of Duchess of Edinburgh, Catherine demonstrated that in the royal family, power doesn't always have to be displayed loudly. Sometimes silent stillness or a subtle shift in the background changes everything. Kate Middleton has mastered the heritage game behind every royal engagement, the carefully planned portraits and the heartwarming moments shared with the public. Kate plays chess, not checkers, with steady hands. Her public image remains unshaken, and her influence over both Prince William and King Charles continues to grow. She has solidified her children's position at the center of the monarchy. Now, Charlotte's promotion to Duchess of Edinburgh marks Kate's final checkmate move against Camilla. This is no accident. It's a meticulously calculated strategy. Over the course of a year, William is said to have lobbied, subtly emphasizing Charlotte's growing prominence and the importance of a bold move in reflecting the modern monarchy. Given William's outward-facing diplomatic approach, many wonder if Kate was the hidden architect of this strategy. With her patient style, Kate never directly asks for anything, instead making her point through actions. She doesn't need to denounce Camilla or embarrass anyone. She simply stands firm and gains the trust and admiration of the British people. Ongoing polls consistently show Kate as the most admired woman in the monarchy. Charlotte, with her perfect curtsies and grace as a modern-day princess, has won the hearts of the public, evoking the elegance of Diana. Each time Charlotte appears, the British people feel the innocence and gentleness she brings. Kate has succeeded in establishing her daughter as a role model, and this move is not just a symbolic change, but a meticulous preparation for a grand future. On the other hand, Camilla has struggled relentlessly to rebuild her image within the royal family. Despite wearing the crown, she has never won the public's heart and feels like an intruder replacing Diana. She remains haunted by the past and feels she cannot compare to the other women in the family. While Charlotte shines, Camilla can't help but feel that she will never be fully recognized as an official part of the royal family.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
Kate, with calm and strategic grace, showed that there's no need to speak loudly or flaunt her strength. Everything unfolded like a finely orchestrated plan, with Charlotte shining without any opposition or provocation. When Charlotte's title was announced, Kate simply offered a sweet smile, said nothing, and carried on with her duties. She knew her steadfastness and maternal love would speak volumes. King Charles III, amid royal duties and domestic unrest, found himself caught between two difficult choices. As monarch, he faced family divisions that were not just political or financial, but deeply emotional. The rift between Camilla and Catherine was no longer silent. It had become public. Charles knew that granting Charlotte's title was a pivotal shift for the monarchy, a bold signal for the need to modernize even if it risked wounding the royal family. When the decision was made to elevate Charlotte to Duchess, it wasn't merely a formality, it was a deliberate move. Charles held meetings to discuss the matter, fully aware of the symbolism it carried. Though he anticipated Camilla's reaction, he also recognized that the monarchy's future hinged on modernization. So despite the pain, he gave his final approval, placing his faith in the future of his daughter and granddaughter. Camilla endured decades of public hostility and private trials for the love of the man she chose. A lifetime of fighting to prove herself, she hoped that as queen she would be recognized not just for herself, but for her family too. She envisioned an inclusive monarchy where her lineage could stand alongside the Windsors. Yet the reality was that William and Kate, the monarchy's golden couple, had won the public's favor, and now their children George and Charlotte had become symbols of tradition and the continuation of Diana's legacy. Though King Charles keenly understood the tensions within his family, especially when forced to choose between Camilla and William Kate and their children. After years of striving to protect Camilla, he now had to chart a path toward the monarchy's future, even if it meant hurting his family. Camilla longed for her family to be respected, but Charles chose William and Kate's path to safeguard the crown for a new generation. This decision not only placed his family in a difficult position, but also reflected the inevitable evolution of the monarchy. William and Kate, with calm and refined strategy, quietly positioned their children at the heart of the royal narrative. They didn't need to speak out or oppose anyone only to earn the public's trust. Charlotte, their daughter, is now not just a beloved child, but also bears the responsibility and legacy of the monarchy. Kate understood that her strength didn't need to be overt to wield immense influence, a truth underscored when Charlotte was granted the title of Duchess of Edinburgh. For Camilla, Charlotte's ennoblement was not just a personal loss, but a public rejection, signaling that her lineage would never be strong enough to shape the monarchy's future. Her relentless efforts to secure a place for her family within the royal fold crumbled as she realized titles and honors belonged to those with greater influence and public acclaim. Camilla painfully accepted that despite being queen, her granddaughter would be sidelined while Charlotte rose in the spotlight. When the decision was made to bestow the title on Charlotte, it was not merely a ceremonial gesture, but a clear shift in the monarchy's future. The crown was no longer just a symbol of singular power, but of a continuing legacy. Every decision, every gesture carried weight beyond protocol, and through this, the royal family acknowledged that the future belonged to the House of Wales. Charlotte, with her grace and traits reminiscent of her grandmother, Princess Diana, was being groomed for a greater role ahead. After Charlotte received her title, Camilla faced the harsh reality that her grandchildren would never be fully recognized within the monarchy. Charlotte's rise forced Camilla to see that despite being queen, her family could not fully integrate into the royal system. Though she had sacrificed much to reach her position, it was ultimately a system that had evolved, leaving no room for all. Camilla witnessed Charlotte's ascent and her own retreat swift and inevitable.
I think the girls with their nails done now.
Ultimately, this shift didn't stem from speeches or scandalous headlines, but from the elevation of a child. Charlotte, with her new title, not only marked a significant step toward the monarchy's future, but also fundamentally altered perceptions within the royal family. Meanwhile, Camilla, though queen, faced the stark truth that her lineage no longer held a firm place in the royal future as the crown decisively passed on, and the Parker Bowles family faded from the narrative of the British monarchy.
Girls with their nails done now.
Wow, what a royal shakeup! Camilla's reaction to Princess Charlotte snagging that title over her granddaughter has us all on the edge of our seats. What do you think about this drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that like button. If you're Team Charlotte, subscribe and ring the bell, so you never miss the latest royal tea. Until next time, and we'll see you in the next video. A morning that seemed peaceful at Buckingham Palace suddenly turned into a moment no one would ever forget. As the first rays of sunlight crept over the ancient towers, the familiar calm of the royal residence was shattered by a haunting sound, the thunderous, furious scream of King Charles himself. No one could have imagined that behind those majestic gates, a storm of anger had been quietly brewing, and now it had finally burst free. No one had time to grasp what was happening. Palace staff froze mid-task, their faces pale with fear. The normally orderly atmosphere was replaced by a heavy, suffocating tension. Royal guards stood still like statues' eyes locked on the source of the outburst, while the entire palace seemed to hold its breath. What could have pushed the usually composed king to such a breaking point? What secrets lie behind the royal walls? Stay with us as we uncover the full truth. And don't forget, leave a 1 in the comments if you empathize with this story, or a 0 if you see it differently. Share your thoughts with us below. Like and subscribe so you won't miss what happens next, where we reveal all the secrets behind this unfolding royal drama. An unprecedented scene shook Buckingham Palace on what was supposed to be a quiet and peaceful morning. Suddenly, King Charles's furious and resentful voice echoed powerfully through the gilded corridors of the palace, piercing every room and shattering the usual calm atmosphere. His words carried deep disappointment, pain, and a long-suppressed rage finally unleashed, causing the nearby servants to halt their tasks, their faces paling and trembling in the sudden tension. The guards stood motionless like statues, their eyes fixed on the source of the outburst, as if the entire palace held its breath in that moment. Everyone sensed the gravity of the situation when they realized that the target of the king's fury was not a court official or an outsider, but Queen Camilla, the wife and companion whom everyone expected the king to protect and cherish. This confrontation not only suffocated the palace air, but also opened a new tense and volatile chapter in their relationship, raising serious questions about the future of the monarchy and the bond between them. According to insider sources that have been leaked, King Charles uncovered a shocking and almost unimaginable truth. A priceless piece of royal jewelry had mysteriously disappeared from the secure vault within the palace. This revelation sent shockwaves through the royal household, triggering an intense investigation. As the inquiry progressed, every lead and piece of evidence began to converge on a single person, Camilla. The very woman whom King Charles had defied centuries of royal tradition to elevate and crown as queen was now cast into the harsh spotlight of suspicion, raising questions and tensions that rippled through the corridors of power. The king's fury was not merely a reaction to the loss of an invaluable family heirloom, but the result of simmering doubts and long-standing disappointment that had built up within him over many years. These feelings had not been openly expressed, but they quietly existed, gradually eroding his trust and affection for those around him, especially within the family. The loss of the royal jewel was the final straw, causing all the long-held feelings of disappointment and doubt to erupt into an uncontrollable fury. It was not merely a material loss, but a blow to the honor and prestige of the royal family, something the king could not tolerate. What truly transpired behind the solid, magnificent walls of the palace, the symbol of England's supreme power and tradition? Was it Camilla who really took the missing royal jewel? If the answer is yes, what was the motive behind such an act? Could it have been a mere accidental oversight? Or is there a more intricate and calculated conspiracy unfolding quietly in the shadows of closed doors? These questions not only spark curiosity, but also raise suspicions about the underlying motives behind the event and whether it could be the beginning of larger upheavals within the royal family. The scandal is rocking the entire nation, raising serious questions about loyalty, power, and the secrets hidden behind the dazzling facade of the Windsor dynasty. The crown may glitter on the outside, but beneath that noble velvet could lie a dark truth few dare to imagine. Did Camilla truly take the ring, and if so, what was her motive? That question is now at the heart of the incident, shaking the entire British royal family. As we delve into the details of the tense confrontation between King Charles III and Queen Camilla at Buckingham Palace, we can't ignore the silent cracks that have formed between them for a long time. Cracks that may now be on the verge of breaking wide open. The story began when Camilla officially took on the role of Queen Consort. Initially, her role was seen by the public and the royal family as a traditional image. The wife standing behind her husband, supporting the king in ceremonial duties and maintaining the image of a devoted spouse. Like previous queens, she primarily carried out symbolic duties, representing the royal family at public events, and striving to uphold the image of a loyal woman supporting the king's position. Although these tasks were important, they were rarely highlighted or emphasized. However, over time, Camilla's role began to change, subtly but significantly. She was no longer just a wife standing behind her husband. but gradually became a figure with considerable influence in the internal decisions of the royal family, as well as in foreign affairs. Her image shifted from a silent symbol to that of a woman with a voice and a more active role in significant matters. These changes not only altered the public's perception of her, but also impacted the royal family internally as she demonstrated a strong involvement and influence in important decision-making. Camilla's influence has been steadily increasing. She has started to appear independently at public events and participate in interviews without prior approval from King Charles or senior palace advisors. Some observers have pointed out that she is gradually breaking away from the traditional mold of a spouse. Historically, this role has been built around close coordination with the monarch, where the spouse typically plays a supportive role and maintains the image of the royal family. However, Camilla seems to be shifting this approach, demonstrating a clear autonomy and actively engaging in public decisions and activities. Camilla's growing autonomy has raised concerns among some within the royal family. This change not only erodes long-established customs and protocols, but also raises the question of whether Camilla is simply seeking her own voice, or if she is quietly preparing for a much more powerful position. These questions not only spark doubts about her future in the royal family, but also heighten tensions about her role moving forward as the power dynamics within the monarchy may be set to shift. An official change in her status sent shockwaves throughout the royal family and beyond. The royal website, traditionally a reflection of the monarchy's hierarchy and roles, quietly updated Camilla's title from Queen Consort to simply Queen. At first glance, this might seem like a subtle shift or a mere linguistic adjustment, but in the delicate world of royal protocol, this seemingly minor alteration carried significant implications. The adjustment was not without controversy. Reports from the media indicate that the change in Camilla's title has faced opposition from certain individuals, most notably King Charles himself. According to sources close to the royal family, while Charles is believed to support Camilla's increasingly prominent role in public life and royal duties, he was not entirely comfortable with the alteration of her official title. His hesitation partly stems from the fact that the title Queen Consort had been formally declared and publicly wished for Camilla by his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Adhering to the late Queen's wishes has long been regarded as a sacred and traditional obligation within the British royal family. Nevertheless, despite Queen Elizabeth II's clear directive, it appears that Charles ultimately gave reluctant approval for Camilla to be referred to simply and formally as Queen. This change, though seemingly minor in wording, carries deep symbolic significance as it reflects a shift in power and a redefinition of the monarchy's image in the public eye. For some, the decision is even seen as going against the late Queen's explicit intention, sparking controversy over whether royal tradition is being eroded in the face of modernization. The matter continues to raise questions about Camilla's true role and the complex balance between duty title and official recognition, both within the royal institution and among the public. Camilla's growing autonomy wasn't limited to ceremonial duties. She began making decisions that impacted the monarchy's daily operations, particularly concerning the management of King Charles's schedule and public engagements. Reports indicate Camilla independently canceled several of the king's scheduled appointments, citing that they didn't align with her personal interests or the direction she felt the monarchy should take. These actions were seen as signs of increasing self-assurance and demonstrated she was no longer a passive figure. When questioned about her decisions by royal aides and staff, Camilla responded candidly and unapologetically. She was reportedly heard to say, It wouldn't do him any good. The Queen knows best. This statement clearly showcased her belief in her personal judgment and her expanding role within the monarchy. To some, this was necessary confidence. To others, it was a sign of overstepping boundaries. Camilla began making decisions without consulting King Charles. One of the actions widely considered a culmination point was her agreement to participate in an interview without his prior knowledge. This interview completely blindsided Charles and was a shocking move for the entire royal family. Camilla chose to appear in a private yet insightful conversation, and what she shared within it forever changed the trajectory of her role within the royal institution. The content of the interview was not only shocking but utterly controversial. Camilla publicly discussed her vision for the future of the monarchy and revealed personal plans that had never before been shared publicly. More importantly, these plans had also never been discussed with King Charles. Camilla described the interview as a candid and authentic look into her personal views, but it quickly became the focal point of tension and suspicion as she spoke about strategies and initiatives she envisioned for the royal family. What shocked many close to the crown was Camilla's revelation of details about plans Charles had shared privately with her under the assumption they would be kept in absolute confidence. This betrayal deeply hurt Charles, as he had always seen Camilla as his most trusted confidant. Hearing private conversations exposed in the media felt like a blow to his trust. What should have only been behind-the-scenes strategic discussions about the monarchy's future now became public fodder. Camilla's openness about confidential information not only humiliated Charles, but also made him feel utterly betrayed not just by his wife, but by the person he trusted more than anyone. For Charles, this betrayal was the last straw. He had long valued discretion and privacy, and the public exposure of his most intimate conversations was beyond his tolerance. For years he had been patient with the complexities of his marriage, but this action forced him to confront a painful truth: the rift between him and Camilla had become too wide to continue ignoring. Between Charles and Camilla, an undeniable rift has formed. It is time to confront her directly and hold her accountable for her actions. The future of their relationship and the monarchy itself hangs in the balance. One morning after Camilla's shocking interview, tension filled Buckingham Palace. Camilla was notably absent the previous evening, an unusual occurrence, especially amid the ongoing crisis. As hours passed, Charles grew visibly agitated. He was a man under immense pressure. Close sources described him pacing like a lost soul throughout the royal residence, breaking the usual calm that defines the palace. Witnesses could sense that something deeply troubling was unfolding. Upon learning the content of Camilla's interview, Charles demanded her immediate return to the palace. Yet he received no response from his wife. The situation escalated rapidly. The king was seen wandering the palace grounds, either waiting for her return or sending out a stream of frustrated messages. His anguish was palpable. This was no longer the composed king the public knew, but a man betrayed and isolated, finding no comfort from the partner he once trusted completely. When Camilla finally arrived at the palace the next morning, her demeanor was nothing short of cold and disdainful. She reportedly walked past staff with her head held high, pointedly ignoring their greetings. The entire space was filled with an anxious silence as she proceeded to the meeting room where Charles awaited. Camilla entered with an unsettling confidence, her gaze steely, her stride straight and rigid. The moment she crossed the threshold, one could distinctly feel a storm brewing. Charles stood in the center of the room, his eyes fixed on her. His face was a mask filled with barely suppressed fury. As their gazes met, he erupted. His voice trembling, he stated that the monarchy was not a stage for personal agendas. He emphasized that Camilla could not speak indiscriminately without considering the consequences. But the climax came when he questioned her loyalty, hinting at the betrayal he felt from her. Camilla showed no signs of remorse. Quite the opposite. She appeared more assured than ever. In the face of scrutiny, she stood tall and composed, her posture firm and her gaze steady. There was no hesitation in her voice, as she declared that she saw nothing wrong with her actions. To her, she had simply exercised her right. The right, she believed, came with her position as queen. She firmly emphasized that she was indeed the queen, and as such, she had every right to express her thoughts openly without apology or justification. This assertion, delivered with such certainty, struck a harsh and unexpected chord. To Charles, it felt like a stinging rebuke, not just of his authority, but of the delicate balance he had tried to maintain between public tradition and private emotion. However, the pain he felt did not stem solely from her bold words spoken in public. What truly cut deeper was something far more intimate and unspoken, an emotional undercurrent that had been lingering beneath the surface of their relationship for a long time. It was a truth both of them had quietly avoided, perhaps out of fear, pride, or a desire to keep peace. Now, with Camilla's unapologetic declaration, that long-ignored tension was exposed. The wounds it revealed were not fresh, but old and unresolved, quietly accumulating beneath years of compromise and royal duty. And in that moment, the hurt Charles felt was not just from what had been said, but from what had remained unsaid for far too long. What do you think hurt Charles the most? Camilla's harsh words, or the emotions that have been buried for many years? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like if you find this content interesting, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next dramatic stories. In that moment of peak tension, the king finally could not contain his long, simmering rage. His voice trembled, echoing through the room. He screamed, "You are the one who stole the royal jewels. You stole my ring." His accusation cut through the thick silence like a knife. He looked at Camilla with eyes full of hurt and fury. The answer seemed too clear and too painful. The room fell silent. The ring Charles referred to was no ordinary piece of jewelry. It was the king's personal insignia, a symbol of royal power, authority, and legacy. Losing it, or worse, having it stolen, was a fatal blow not only to him, but to the monarchy itself. King Charles's signet ring is a royal heirloom steeped in history, more than just an accessory. It's a symbol of identity, personal style, and a familial connection spanning generations. First appearing publicly with him in the 1970s, the signet ring became an unmistakable hallmark of his royal attire. Its design and material reflect centuries of tradition. Crafted from Welsh gold weighing approximately 20 grams, the ring adheres to the classic style of royal jewelry, carrying within it both the past and future of the throne. Losing it isn't just losing a treasure. It's losing a piece of the soul of the legacy. King Charles's signet ring is far more than mere jewelry. It's a symbol of royal power and heritage, a sacred heirloom passed down through 3 generations, starting with Prince Andrew of Greece and Denmark, through Prince Philip, and then to Charles himself. Worn on his pinky finger, the ring embodies history, tradition, and a deep intergenerational bond within the royal family. For Charles, the ring represents the continuity between past and present, while for Prince William, the future heir to the throne, It's a tangible and spiritual link to his father. The loss of the ring isn't just a material loss. It's a profound emotional and symbolic blow, shaking the very foundations of the royal legacy. Immediately following the magnificent coronation at Buckingham Palace, a disturbing incident occurred. King Charles's precious signet ring mysteriously vanished. The news spread rapidly, creating an atmosphere of suspicion and tension within the royal family. Charles, usually composed, was deeply shocked this time. He was almost in a state of panic, unable to fathom how such an important item could be lost. The gravity of the event not only affected his personal life, but also shook the royal trust and responsibilities he bore. In the ensuing days, Buckingham Palace became the hub of an intense investigation. Palace staff and security teams searched every nook and cranny, meticulously looking for the ring. Despite their efforts, the search yielded no results, and the pressure mounted. In closed-door meetings, rumors began to circulate. Some believed the ring might have been sold or stolen by a royal family member or insider who had access to the king's private quarters. The narrative became even more dramatic, with suspicions that someone was exploiting the situation for personal gain. Amidst this crisis, one person's indifference stunned many Queen Camilla. While Charles was consumed by grief and worry, she remained composed, continuing her daily duties and making significant decisions without showing any concern or acknowledging the severity of the ring's disappearance. This cold demeanor fueled suspicions and tension between them like a smoldering fire threatening to ignite at any moment. When Charles grasped the gravity of the situation and began to suspect Camilla's involvement, the tension in the palace reached its breaking point. He couldn't endure the feeling of betrayal from his life partner, the one he had trusted most. Camilla's coldness and disdain during those days were like daggers piercing the king's heart. Every encounter between them was filled with suffocating silence, tension, and unspoken accusations. The rift between them could no longer be hidden, signaling an inevitable confrontation and unforeseen consequences for both their personal relationship and the monarchy. While Charles grappled with the pain of losing his ring, a sacred symbol of royal heritage, Camilla seemed to be forging ahead with her own agenda. She disregarded the cost to her husband, making bold, unilateral moves in matters of state. For her, the ring's disappearance was merely a minor inconvenience. Camilla continued down her chosen path, unhesitatingly dismissing any worries or potential consequences that could impact their relationship and the monarchy. Everything truly erupted when Camilla's recent interview was released. Initially intended to demonstrate unity and strengthen the monarchy's image, it instead exposed a deep rift. Camilla's words and actions crossed a line, pushing their fragile relationship to its breaking point. Charles, already on the edge due to the missing ring, was now more incensed than ever. The fiery confrontation behind closed doors became inevitable, marking a painful turning point in their relationship. Looking back, the relationship between Charles and Camilla has always been rife with tension, arguments, and hurt. Behind the royal glamour lies a deeply emotional story scrutinized by the public and media for decades. Camilla was often depicted as the villain, the one who broke up Charles's marriage to Princess Diana, becoming the target of relentless public scorn and media criticism. That vilification profoundly wounded her personal life, creating scars that were slow to heal. Not only did she endure the harshness of public scrutiny, but Camilla also felt lonely and betrayed by the very husband she had trusted most. She always hoped Charles would step up to defend her honor and dignity, that he would use his power and influence to counter the wave of attacks. In reality, she frequently felt like an outsider abandoned in a battle beyond her control. The wounds from the past were never truly healed. That resentment and pain simmered like a slow-burning fire within Camilla's heart. Though Charles and Camilla eventually married, the hurt and bitterness from the past persisted like a quiet undercurrent between them. Behind their outwardly harmonious public appearances, many royal observers believe they never truly overcame their deep-seated conflicts. Camilla harbored feelings of abandonment, while Charles carried the guilt and remorse from previous events. These scars were never fully resolved, laying the groundwork for new conflicts. In recent months, their relationship grew even more strained as Camilla's power increased. Rumors of her growing influence circulated within royal circles, causing concern among many. Camilla no longer accepted a secondary role. Instead, she demonstrated independence and assertiveness through significant decisions, often disregarding many traditional protocols. Her candid public interviews, where she openly expressed her views, further fueled speculation about her ambition and preparation for an even more powerful position within the monarchy. These moves were not fully acknowledged by Charles, leading to underlying conflicts and mounting tension. Beyond the controversies surrounding titles or roles within the royal family, Camilla is still seen by many as the woman who played a part in the breakdown of the marriage between Charles and Princess Diana. Even as time has passed, Diana's image remains vividly etched in the hearts of the British public and people around the world. She was not merely a fashion icon or a royal figure, she was the embodiment of kindness, compassion, and grace. The pain she endured during her marriage to Charles only deepened public sympathy for her, elevating her to the status of a beloved figure who seemed to represent the emotional truth behind the palace walls. In that context, no matter how much Camilla tries to present herself differently, it is difficult for her to escape the long shadow cast by Diana's legacy. For this reason, Camilla's increasingly prominent presence in her new role has not only stirred conflicting reactions within the royal family, but has also reignited a wave of complex emotions among the public. To many, seeing Camilla in a position that Diana might have rightfully held is difficult to accept. Their reaction is not just to Camilla as she is today, but to the unresolved memories of a painful past. Her presence, even though now officially recognized, serves as a reminder of what was lost, not only the collapse of a royal marriage, but the enduring image of a woman who left an indelible mark on the soul of a nation. Their story was not one of public conflict or dramatic confrontations. It was a quiet tale of unresolved emotions, missed opportunities, and royal duties that shaped every decision. What began as a love triangle gradually evolved into a lifelong tension. As the years passed, both held firmly to their positions, continuing their roles within the monarchy with silent determination, but never truly side by side, duty over affection. She understood that many within the monarchy and the public held strong opinions about her. Determined not to let the past or others' expectations define her, she slowly and steadily began taking on more royal responsibilities. She immersed herself in charity work, stood by Charles at official events, and learned to move with grace and poise within the royal world. She was there to contribute. However, even with this change, their relationship remained formal. It never evolved into a deep connection. There was a courteous distance between them. At royal events, they were often seen standing near each other, smiling when expected, exchanging words when necessary. But their smiles rarely reached their eyes, and their conversations lacked warmth. To the outside world, they appeared polite. But to the more observant, it was clear that their relationship was more about maintaining appearances than enjoying each other's company. Much of this quiet tension stemmed from the differences in how they viewed their roles. As Camilla grew increasingly prominent and solidified her position within the royal family, King Charles began to feel sidelined like a monarch, overshadowed by his own wife. According to close sources, this created a deep sense of unease within him. Charles didn't want to be seen as a mere supporting figure in the royal narrative. He was determined to reclaim control and his true standing. He wanted to remind the public that he remained the sole head of state holding the highest authority and responsibility within the British monarchy. One of the most pivotal moments in this struggle to regain power and respect came when Charles demanded the return of a precious pinky ring. This ring was far more than just a piece of jewelry. It symbolized his very soul and was a treasured emblem of his status and authority. Claiming the ring back was a clear statement that despite the changes around him, he was still the leader who could not be overshadowed or replaced in the eyes of the public or within the royal family itself. The demand for the ring's return made the atmosphere inside the palace unbearably tense. Witnesses described it as nothing less than an emotional explosion. Charles, filled with pent-up disappointment and fierce anger, directly accused Camilla of taking the ring he had been desperately searching for. His voice was laden with resentment, urgently demanding the immediate return of his sacred treasure, as if the ring was an inseparable part of him. Camilla remained silent at first, her eyes narrowing as she carefully weighed every word she was about to say, leaving those around her unable to predict her true intentions. Finally, with a cold and defiant tone, she uttered a sentence that seemed to freeze the entire palace. "What belongs to the king is mine." This statement was a powerful declaration, affirming her undeniable claim to power and status in this tense confrontation. Camilla's words landed like a fatal blow, cold and powerful, stunning Charles. Without hesitation, she retrieved the ring from her purse and placed it on the table before him, returning it with ease but loaded with meaning. This scene only ignited Charles's fury further, his frustration boiling over, causing him to explode. "You're done!" He roared, his voice unmistakably conveying pain, betrayal, and indignation. Instead of retorting with words or mirroring his anger, Camilla calmly turned and walked out of the room. Charles could only watch in stunned silence, confusion evident on his face. Those within the royal household who had long observed the strained dynamic between the couple recognized that the rift between them had reached an irreparable point. Their already fragile relationship now seemed to be officially broken. Rumors began to spread about Camilla's true motives behind claiming the heirloom ring. According to close sources, Camilla had long shown a particular interest in the ring, not only because of its royal symbolic value, but also due to its deep personal significance to her. For Camilla, the ring was more than just a symbol of power. It was a way to affirm her increasingly solid position within the monarchy, a tangible sign of recognition and respect she sought to obtain. However, Charles viewed the ring very differently. To him, it was not merely a piece of jewelry or a symbol of authority, but the very soul and identity tied to his deep feelings for his family and his role within the royal family. That is why when Camilla repeatedly demanded to possess the ring, Charles firmly refused. This refusal was not just about protecting a material object, but also about safeguarding the emotional and personal values that the ring represented. Charles's refusal acted as a catalyst, prompting Camilla to take unilateral action and acquire the ring herself. This wasn't an impulsive act, but a tacit declaration of her power and independence. This action crossed the delicate line between authority and trust, shattering the balance in their relationship. The seemingly inanimate ring had now become the catalyst for a fierce emotional explosion, shaking the fragile foundations of the royal family. Currently, Camilla is reportedly on a temporary retreat from royal duties, leaving the palace in an eerie silence. The question isn't just whether she will return, but whether this royal marriage can withstand the unprecedented shock stemming from a small symbol like the ring. The future of the British monarchy stands at a volatile crossroads, and the world watches every next development with bated breath. What do you think will happen next? Will Camilla return, or will she remain silent forever? Can this rift ever be healed? Don't forget to leave a comment with 1 if you sympathize with Camilla, or 0 if you have a different opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the latest updates about the British royal family. Thank you.